There is an EMT in New York City. His name is Timothy Dluhos, and he had been tweeting under the nickname Bad Lieutenant for a while. And thanks to the effort of reporter Candace Giovi, he was busted for what he was saying. Now, what was he saying? It's some pretty offensive stuff. He tweeted about coloreds, chinks. He called Mayor Bloomberg King Heeb and bragged about his Nazi paraphernalia. Now, of course, his name was not linked to that account. It took the reporter to identify that that's who it was. And he's in EMT in New York City. He's making $93,000 up until eventually he was suspended because of the work of that reporter. And now it seems natural. You have this person who's making a ton of money through the city, obviously hates pretty much everyone who's not a white male in his 40s, I would imagine. He lost his job, and now people are attacking that reporter in a horrendous fashion. A reader sent a message to the paper that said, "Just hope you don't need EMS when it happens." Supporting him in that way.
Saying that she's going to, by the way.
Implying violence.
She's going to suffer violence, and when she does, hope that EMS isn't around.
Yeah, hopefully there's other EMS workers in the city. There's not just him. But so that's the threatening of violence. And also there's a show called The Red Show that's an online radio show. And the hosts said even worse things about her. Let's see, it's Footer and P-Rock. I'm sure that you know the hosts of The Red Show, Footer and P-Rock. They said in support of Dluhos, "He's a brave motherfucker, but in the end he's going to come out fine. He's been cornered as a racist, and that's not true. Tim's our guy."
No, but wait. Wait, you're supporting for saying Chink and King Heeb and all this stuff. But what's the non-racist part? And he's your guy on The Red Show because he is a racist. That's the whole reason he's your guy. Right. Like, there's some awesome irony
He
there.
also tweets a lot about like The Walking Dead, and he does Instagram photos of food. So that's not racist necessarily.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's funny about this is they go on to defend him, say he's totally not a racist. Like, why are you attacking him? And then they have this quote referencing the female reporter. "Like I said to that dumb C word, he's out there saving lives." The host then attacked Giovi for her apparent ethnicity. "For me, she looked a little yellow, like Middle Eastern. I don't think she should be allowed to carry a backpack." So that's the people that's supporting this guy in New York City.
But they're not racist.
No, totally.
No, they just hate chinks, colored people, Heebs, and Middle Eastern people who apparently look yellow. I'd never heard that before.
What exactly is the beef, though? That they took a tweet and then that like the tweet was sort of like free, like it was free speech, or that the tweet was just
his tweets?
Yeah, like what's their?
Well, I think she found out at some point that that's who this was. That it's not just some anonymous troll on the internet. It's this guy who was working for the city, making a ton of money. She exposed him. He lost his job as a result, and so racists are flocking to support him online.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess what's interesting is that they still feel compelled to say they're not racist in the middle of racist rants.
Yeah.
So we won in a sense that it's like such a bad thing that as they're yelling at black people, etc., they still say, "Well, don't get me wrong, I'm not a racist."
Yeah.
Well, I think he's onto something. I think that he should own his negative. I think he should start perhaps a racist 911 service. Call it 911.
Oh, I got it.
911. It's a German thing.
And when people call up and say, "Oh, I'm hurt, can you help me?" They say, 999.
Exactly. And so then you have like two different EMS services, one catering to racists, one catering to non-racists. And I think that's very American. It's entrepreneurial.
Let the free market decide.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I think that it's unfortunate that you'd imagine in New York City, like we'd have gotten past this to some extent. But there's been other events and other scandals that have happened recently. There was a Facebook group that was protesting the West Indian Parade that was going on in New York City, and it eventually caused a scandal when it was found out that by the Times that at least 60% of the group's members were New York City police officers, and saying we have to end this because it's a racial group that we don't like.
Yeah, no, the things they said about the West Indian Parade in New York were unbelievable. Like comments like, "Who let these things out of the zoo? They came straight out of the jungle, savages, etc."
Yeah, they call them animals, and it's pretty bad.
So think about the mindset of these cops, right? As I read both of these stories, cops and EMS, I got a little scared, because I'm still naive because I grew up in an environment that was multi-ethnic, multiracial, and so it's still incredibly weird to me when people think in these terms. But obviously they do, and they're in the middle of New York City. It's not like they're in Alabama or Mississippi. Of course, this kind of, racism, hatred, discrimination, et cetera, lives everywhere. Now, you're telling me those guys are not going to arrest black guys more? They're not going to arrest Latinos more, the cops, right?
Or beat them
or
on
beat
petty
them,
arrests
right.
or whatever.
Assume that what they're reaching for is a gun instead of a cell phone.
Assume they're guilty, do more stop and frisk, but we know it's a fact.
Yeah, we've seen the numbers.
Way disproportionately more stop and frisk. And then when people go to defend them, I lose my mind over that. I mean, we can't have cops like this on the street in the case of the West Indian Parade, because look at all the things that they're not going to protect the community. They're against the community, right?
And then there are all these other minor ones you don't hear about, but ultimately, or ironically, we're all settling with them with taxpayer dollars in these sort of out-of-court settlements that led to some abuse or a false arrest or something like that. So it costs society something, a great deal of money every year, whether you live in New York or LA or any other city. So it's in the public interest to really condemn stuff like this, because it does lead to, if you can't relate to just the denigration part of it, higher costs for everybody.